Version 1.4 brings a lot of content such as new endgame mode, lots of events, the most awaited unit in the game, but one feature that I'm super excited about and is also shaking the community is the change to how decibels work. Just to give some extra context for those who don't play Zenless Zone Zero, it's the resource you use to cast ultimates. As for now, which means patch 1.3, decibels are shared and you get to use a single ultimate between your 3 units. But starting from 1.4, decibels will be individual and you get to use everyone's ultimate as long as you get enough decibels. Today I want to share my thoughts and opinions on this topic because some players keep saying that after 1.4, the ultimate system is going to remind Genshin Impact. And honestly, I completely disagree. I'm also going to talk about some concerning points and how it can shake the matter around a little bit. I've seen some players saying that shared decibels promotes strategy because you need to think about which ultimate you're going to use. And the truth is, you're not thinking about which ultimate you're using, because you're simply saving your decibels for your DPS ultimate. That's how it's been ever since the 1.0. But when you add this shared decibels mechanic, now this is true strategy, because it's not simply stunning the enemy and then popping every single available ultimate. Because not every single ultimate is going to be focused on dealing damage. And while the cinematic pauses the time, I need to remind you that once the cinematic is over, the time keeps ticking and the stun timer will slowly go down while you're doing your ultimate. Thinking about which ultimate you should use when you should use, this promotes a lot more strategy than simply saving resources for your DPS ultimate. Not to mention that ultimates have a lot of utility besides doing damage. Stun units, for example, get a huge daze multiplier on their ultimates, meaning that you can use it to stun the enemy faster, and stunning the enemy means increased damage and also some breathing room for you. Support units can regenerate energy for your squad when you cast their ultimate, and not to mention that it also triggers a quick assist. Now, when you have shared decibels, using all of these ultimates feels really underwhelming, and that's exactly what is happening in the game. Why would you trade a huge burst of damage just for a faster stun? Or even some extra energy? It's completely pointless because it's way more efficient for you to simply stun the enemy without using an ultimate and then burst them down by using your DPS ultimate. We're also going to see some extra cinematics besides the DPS units, and I personally like seeing the cinematics and all the effort they put into them. But this could be somewhat annoying for some players because it makes the fight last longer even though your final time is not going to change. But anyway, it's a matter of taste, so we're not going to dive into this one. Of course, there are also some concerning points. So let's talk a little bit about the bad things. While they didn't share information on how it's going to work, and we're probably going to need to wait until we get some patch notes on this one, I believe that each unit is going to generate decibels mostly for themselves. That's pretty much how it works on any other game, and unless specified, I don't think we're getting decibels generation for other allies. On Genshin Impact, for example, we have what is called a battery unit, which basically generates energy orbs and you can use it to charge other units' ultimates. However, on Zenless Zone Zero, at least for now, we don't have such a thing. So depending on how they implement this new change, it could mean that burst-focused units are going to suffer quite a lot when it comes to charging their ultimate. Since they are not going to stay on the field outside of the stun window, this means lower decibel generation for them, and this could mean a lower DPS output, which is something that usually don't happen right now because you give them enough time to generate energy, charge decibels, and then, once the enemy is stunned, you can burst them down using all the resources you save. But if you're going to stun the enemy faster, especially once we get access to stun ultimates, this could mean lower DPS potential for your burst DPS unit. Another interesting point on this is that canceling chain attacks could also become a problem. Right now, some players cancel the chain attack sequence in order to maximize how much damage you can deal on the stun timer. Let's take, for example, Ju-1, especially if you have her Mindscape 1. She deals a lot of damage using her bullets on stunned enemies, so instead of going for a full chain attack, you can just use Ju-1's chain and cancel your sequence. This way, you have a lot of extra time on the stun window to just keep spending every single bullet that you own on them. But now with individual decibels, chain attacks could generate some extra decibels for your units, and skipping them could lead to some problems, mainly the lack of ultimates on the stun window. So once again, this kind of promotes a lot of strategy around team compositions and rotations, which in this case could be another difficult layer on the game, which I can personally deal with it. But for more casual players, learning everything once again just to maximize your damage could be a bit of a headache. Now, before finishing up, another interesting point that I want to talk about is how some units' value could ramp up really high thanks to these changes. The two most interesting units that I can think about are Lighter and Bernice. Let me explain. Bernice has a really high damage multiplier on her ultimate skill, and this alone is a huge reason for you to upgrade and use her ultimate. But when you're pairing her with units like Jane or even Yanagi, which can also deal some interesting bursts of damage on their ultimates, Bernice starts to lose some priority. This actually might be the only scenario for now where there's still some room for strategy and thinking before using an ultimate. But once 1.4 arrives, you can just use Bernice's ultimate, and then, since it triggers a quick assist right at the beginning, you can just swap to the next unit and also use their ultimate, meaning that you can trigger two ultimates at the same time. However, this is assuming that casting a second ultimate won't interrupt the first ultimate. The same reason applies for other support units, because they also trigger quick assist once it hits an enemy. But Slowkaku, well, I guess you still want to keep the title because her ultimate animation is insanely long and only triggers quick assist at the end of it. So I wouldn't say it's a great day for Slowkaku players. As for Lighter, when you come to think about all the possibilities such as going for a full chain attack, using more ultimates and everything else, the extra stun timer Lighter provides could be of huge value for fitting another rotation or another ultimate on the stun window. Not to mention that some enemies have a lower stun timer than other units, so when you're dealing with an enemy that has a really small stun duration, the extra 3 seconds could make a huge difference, such as, for example, being able to cast a full chain attack and at least one DPS ultimate on the same stun window. However, of course, outside of that, Lighter's kit is still tailored towards ice and fire units. So I don't think you're going to see Lighter on every single team composition just because of the 3 extra seconds on your stun duration. But it's something to keep in mind, especially those who decided to grab him on his banner. So yeah, these are all the points I want to talk about, and let me know in the comments what do you think about this change and how do you think it's going to work. You can also join my Discord server where we can talk about this and other Zenless Zone Zero topics. As usual, thanks for watching, have a beautiful day, and I'll see you in my next video.